What's going on, Greg?
Ash, I'm
Today.
I'm on my phone because my laptop died. Got to charge it back up.
Oh, yeah. It's I can barely hear you, but I can hear you. It's clear. It's just not. I can't turn it up as loud in my ear, but it's doable. It's no problem. It works. How you doing, Matt?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, both your audio sounds really good, and not only that, you both look really good today too. So congratulations on that, also.
I got to change my audio here because I can barely hear you. Just a sec.
Let me try to get this closer to see if that helps.
No, it's because you're not on speaker.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I'm bringing something else up while we're talking, so I can chat on here.
Well, I mean, you guys can go ahead. I can hear you. It's just it's just quiet.
No problem. We'll get it going. We actually did one of our Twitter Spaces yesterday, and the one that we did, Matt, on I was not smart enough to record it yesterday, but the one that we did on Sunday has almost 700 views so far, where people watched it. So, welcome to This Week in Lumber with Matt Beamer from Hampton Lumber Sales, Greg Riley from Sitka USA. This is where we talk about the best show in the industry to talk about lumber with at least two really smart traders that have been in the lumber industry for a long time. But Greg and Matt, you know who one of my favorite people is that watched the show today?
Who?
Butch Green from Stanley Martin Homes. If you could see right now here, where your life is our blueprint. Butch watched the show last week and sent me. Is it swag or swag? My wife said it's swag. Yeah,
but it's not really swag because Matt and I don't have it. Swag is stuff we all get, and apparently we didn't get it.
Yeah, well, hey, we'll work on that. So, if anybody wants to send us some swag, you can DM me and I'll send you where to send it to. But for right now, my favorite home builder is Stanley Martin Homes.
There you go.
Like I said, where your life is our blueprint. Love those guys. Thanks, Butch, for sending that. Like I said, every time somebody sends something, I'll highlight it and wear it on the show.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you very much. So good show yesterday. Let's kind of talk about what we chatted about yesterday.
Like Twitter Spaces, there's a lot of our viewers here may not be familiar with. You want to tell everybody?
I can't hear you as well, Greg. You were cutting in and out a little bit on your phone.
Things is that we found is that the technology over at Twitter Spaces is a little bit the audio for sure. Yeah, for sure. The audio for sure is great. And we I was trying to figure out how to integrate Twitter Spaces into that, but Twitter is coming back out with
Periscope.
With their old Periscope, so we'll be able to do some live launches from there. And
is that what Periscope was? Is basically just kind of like what this format is. It's a video and audio. Periscope
was more for personal journalists and all that, but we'll see if we can get it going. And there's also a new format called Blue Sky out there, which is trying to be a competitor to Twitter. So we'll get all this stuff.
I just don't want any of our viewers, because we're moving into this space that we're mega people. We're just regular, like buying and selling lumber.
Yeah, I'm just a regular blue check on Twitter, man. Just like right down the middle of the fence here.
I did have
He keeps,
He gone.
yeah.
We were down in Florida, and there's apparently like everyone has a white car down there. And so she like went into the parking lot and she got into somebody else's car. They had left the key in it. So she was able to drive away with it. And after it all got straightened away. So what she decided to do was put a little American flag down on the back of her bumper. So when she looked, she'd know that that was her car. And, her kids, had been through the wokeness of the current higher education system. And they're going, why do you have that Trump thing on your car? She goes, you idiots, it's an American flag.
Everybody drives a white car in Florida, huh? Well, I'll be down there in a couple months, so I'm kind of curious to see that, Greg.
Yep. Yeah. Well, because it's hot.
We're going to Disney World.
Oh,
So,
baby. Good stuff.
Let's talk a little bit about what we talked about yesterday. In our intro, Matt, you kind of, why don't you go into what you said you saw in the market at the beginning of the week and maybe fill in today?
I don't know. I mean, my attitude towards the market is still the same as it has been for really about a month now. 2 and better is undervalued. Spruce, I'm talking about. Spruce 2 before 2 and better is specifically what I'm talking about is undervalued, whether you buy it from the ports or you buy it from Canada. It's the cheapest species of plate stock on planet Earth by quite a bit, and it's running into number 3, and number 3 is hard to buy and easy to sell. So, in my life, in my career, I've always felt like when number 3 and number 2 converge, you got to focus on number 2 and sort of ignore number 3. That's just one of my general little rules of thumb. It's made me money over the years.
And Matt, we were talking about that on Saturday or Sunday on our spaces, how basically European wood off the docks, 12, 14s and 16s was delivered to job sites for number 3 in utility.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's readily been available for 2 before 12s, 14s and 16s out of, basically all the southern ports. And I can't speak for the eastern ports, like the Northeast. I don't do anything out of there, but from Florida west to Houston, I've been able to buy, and you have also, and Greg probably has too. People have been able to buy and sell 2 and better for right around the number 3 price. And beyond that, I would say my general attitude towards the market as a seller is that even though I'm not getting overrun with orders on a day-to-day basis, it's actually pretty sneaky good out there. I mean, there's a fair bit of truck orders on a day-to-day basis, and there's always a handful of carloads that I'm doing each day. It seems boring, but at the end of the day, I add up the number of orders I'm getting, and it's like, it's been far worse than this before. So I kind of like how liquidity is right now. It seems like it's orderly. And I kind of like the value of Spruce 2 and better 2 before.
Right on, Matt. Greg, what was your highlight for the week so far when we were talking yesterday? I think if I remember right, you highlighted a great item, which you had so rightfully said you had already front run a little bit. And
yeah, I mean, I'll just continue on with Matt's theme. Is so we've got a situation where number 3, number 2, whether it's Euro or number 2 from Canadian Mills, is being substituted for number 3 because of the relative demand of that product. And then on top of that, we have MSR 1650 trading at the same price, roughly, maybe marginally above the 2 and better price. So, here's the trade. You sell number 3 for the next 60, 90 days at today's price, and you buy MSR, and that's going to be a moneymaker.
Whoa, you threw a new twist into it.
Cross edge, baby, cross edge.
Yeah. So one, you highlighted how just inexpensive 4-inch was, because everybody in the industry knows Q3, early Q4 is when MSR goes that big premium.
Right.
So you're taking, I love it, man. Taking the overvalued, selling the overvalued, buying the undervalued. You also made a good comment about we can back into this. If we look at the back spread in futures, but yet it's inexpensive as things are right now, how are you telling people what they should do at job sold out for the year?
Well, I mean,
was that the right way we phrased it yesterday? You walked into it pretty well.
I don't know. I mean, my general feeling right now, Ash and Matt, is that I'm looking at a couple of different things. I'm looking at the cycles that the markets have been trading in, which has been so far this year that the market mucks around for the week or two before futures expires, and then has a pretty strong rally for 3 to 4 weeks. It was $100+ after the January expiration, with about $90 after the March expiration. And, we'll see what happens after May. Part of what I'm looking at in May, additionally, is that summer shutdowns could potentially be more extensive than they have been. And the flow of European lumber, I mean, we continue to hear the reports that the shipments are going to drop. I don't know how much, pick a number, 40, 50%. When the guy tells me they're dropping 80%, I discount that. But I mean, they're going to be lower over the next several months. That's a given. So I throw that all together and I say, hey, the chances are that prices are going to be, higher over the summertime than lower. So that having been said, jobs for the next 60, 90 days, there's no reason why you wouldn't want those to be covered. Once I get past that, I mean, September, October, third quarter, the challenge there is that given the big premium in the futures and the fact that 2x4 is undervalued to just about everything, those are significant premiums to today's market. They're still relatively cheap compared to the prices that we've dealt with over the last couple of years, but they are a premium to today's market.
What's September at right now?
500 and is it 520? Hang on, stand by.
And then Tim asked a great question. Tim's question.
Yeah, it's 520 down $10 today, $12.
Okay, so that's 420, let's say, and you could go out and buy cash at let's say 340. You got an $80, you got an $80 or 80 days window there is kind of how I look at it. You could go buy some $340 cash today, sell the board in September for the equivalent of 420 Prince George, and have an $80 or 80 day window. To me, that's a good trade. That I look at time and I look at value, and I got 80 days to make $80. I think that's a real good trade. Let's do it.
Greg, you want to do that in the new fund? So hey, question for you, Tim. And Greg, one thought I want.
You're out over your skis right now, brah.
One thing I wanted to bring up, you brought up, I had it highlighted here on a piece of paper. You brought up yesterday, and I don't think everybody appreciates it as much going into Q4. There's a lot of uncertainty in regional banks right now, right? Regional banks do a lot of the lending in multifamily, especially local multifamily lending. It's just sort of big national banks. But you brought that up yesterday about how if as the cost of money increases and the risk tolerance, the risk tolerance and risk premium increases, what will that look for multifamily jobs? And then in turn, what will it look for lumber, 2x4 9s and all that kind of stuff going forward on multifamily in Q4 if this trend keeps continuing in banks the way it's continuing, Greg?
Well, that's that's why we make the big bucks, Ash, because we figured that out. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see how that all plays out. A couple interesting things that I want to ask Matt. This is, we've been talking about how good the home center business has been, and I'm wondering if we're seeing any changes in that. And I bring it up for two reasons. One is I'm seeing more premium lumber available from Eastern mills, and more of my 2 and better orders are being shipped as premium lumber. And that's usually a sign that, some of that program home center business has slowed.
Yeah,
I think that's
go ahead,
probably more of an Eastern thing.
Okay.
We don't have that problem out west. Like that's not an issue for us. Where we're struggling is not premium, it's MSR. So like we've had a fair bit of 2100 in excess here recently out of Babine. And then we don't make any MSR domestically like in the US mills, but we pull Slugs truck or one and better. But if we have an option to make premium versus one and better or Slugs truck in most of the dry species out of the US mills, most of the time lately we've been running premium because they need it and we're having trouble keeping up with the demand for that lumber out of our markets that we ship into for the big box stores. So that Eastern thing might be more related to the East Coast having a fair bit of, and Florida having a fair bit of that premium spruce laying around the docks. We don't have that issue at our mills at Hampton. So,
hey, Matt, just out of curiosity, what's that 2100 premium to 4-inch 2 and better right now in the shop?
I'd say we were hoping to get like at one point $100, and I think we're lucky to get 50, honestly.
So isn't that the trade, buy the 2100 and sell the September?
I don't really, I'm not an expert on MSR. I know you and Greg historically have been much better at trading that stuff. The only thing I ever noticed about MSR was typically in the fall, like in the winter, like between January and February, March, you'd always have like 1650 and 2 and better sort of butt heads. And that was the time to load up on it if you were going to speculate on MSR when you could buy. In fact, many times in my career, I bought 2 and better lumber and then I received MSR in the wintertime. I didn't order it, but I got it.
Yeah.
And so, like right now, Greg's talking about the trade 10 minutes ago about buying 1650 at very near the 2 and better price. I mean, that's another one where you just shut your eyes and do it because it almost always goes back to a $50 or $100 spread in favor of the 1650. So you can make some real money there. But
yeah, good.
But yeah, right now, the only thing that we've struggled to sell out of Babine in the last 30 days is the 2100, and even that we did sell several cars of it last week and so far this week. So it's not like we're just.
Here's my guess, Matt. After this, so how do buyers get a hold of this to buy it from you, Matt?
Just call me or email me, Matt Beamer at hamptonlumber.com, and my name is spelled Beymer.
I'm guessing after people watch this show, your 2100 will be gone.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the reality is, if I look at it, I mean, when you look at the value of MSR spruce and you compare it to number 2 yellow pine, right? I mean, you're talking delivering into markets, $50 to $100 a thousand lower. I mean, this is a time. Here's a buy for the trust people that are on this is a time where, hey, the 100-day inventory, you should have a 100-day inventory now of MSR spruce.
Yeah, good point. Hey, Tim Hansen's asking the question here. Sorry, Tim, took me a bit to get to you. What are you hearing on more North American production curtailments? One, we talked about one yesterday in our spaces, which was Sinclair. And I'll have Greg talk about that, Matt. And then we all know there's way too much euro here. I don't believe it's all shut off either. So let's take that question in 2 chunks, because on the euro, I'm seeing some interesting things. I'm seeing some of the euro sellers, and it may just be to me, drawing a line in the sand saying they won't go below it. And then some of the Euro dealer sellers just clearing the trade. Because, hey, Greg and Matt, how do you get rid of lumber if it's sitting at the port? What's the easiest way to do it?
Sell it.
Sell it and hit the freaking bid and move it off. Because now I'm having people call me on my phone at night going, hey, man, do you hear there's portwood getting old? I'm like, and it's generally the people that are trying to sell their own wood, right? Like, I haven't seen any old stuff yet at all anywhere. So let's start out with the first one. Greg or Matt, what are we hearing on our curtailments right now?
I haven't heard anything new other than the Sinclair thing yesterday, but I don't think the Western U.S. mills are looking at closures right now. The price of dry hem fir and dry Doug fir is good enough to keep the mills in business, and the price of green Doug fir is not great, but it's not terrible like it was in January. And there's enough liquidity out west on hem fir and Doug fir, both on dimension and studs, that I think we're fine. I think Hampton's going to do just fine. Sierra's going to do just fine. Stimson, Interfor, anyone else that makes that kind of lumber is going to be okay. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody's making any real money, but we're not losing gobs of money either producing Western lumber. The real losses are piling up in Canada at the moment. And, whether it's our mills at Babine or Decker Lake or the new mill that we just opened, the stud mill at Fort St. James, if the price of 2x4 is going to be in the low 300s, and most of those mills are set up to run a heavy diet of 2x4, that doesn't bode well for the future. And so those are big losers. Like I said yesterday, that's like $10,000 to $15,000 per choo-choo train that you're losing on. And do the math. It just eventually they'll find other things to make, or they'll take some downtime. And I just think it's a matter of time before we hear more. I'm not even going to predict at this point. I don't care because it's irrelevant. But the fact of the matter is, as we go forward at these prices, those mills in Canada are under a lot of financial pressure.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the interesting, hey, Matt, this is a crazy question. Somebody asked me after our show last week. How much does a typical mill, let's take a spruce mill, have to cut? What percentage do they cut for home centers?
Yeah, not everybody's aligned with home center. Right?
No, understood they're not. Understood they're not. But ones that are aligned with home center, how much do they have to cut for it?
Much as they can.
I would say that varies from 10% up to 40% of a certain product line. So, home centers aren't buying everything a mill produces.
Correct.
They typically concentrate on the main items, which would be 2x4 8-foot premium studs. And then in dimension, it's a hodgepodge of different lengths depending on which markets you're shipping into. So there's really no rhyme or reason to that. It could be, if you're shipping into an inventory location in Ohio, it could be completely different than what you're shipping into say Texas, or California. And so those programs just end up becoming regionalized on dimension lumber. But there's always a big demand for 2x4 92 5/8 and 96-inch premium, the over the shoulder trade, walk in and grab 10 studs and go build a doghouse type thing. That's the number one. We look at apartment builders are always big users of the 2x4 104 and 5/8 SKU. Well, home centers are big consumers of 8-footers.
Yeah. By today 8-footers sell for more than 16-foot in most markets.
Wow.
One other thing I wanted to highlight, Asha, front page of the Journal today, an article about how much better new home sales are, and how that percentage of total home sales had, it was a record in December. It was 35%. It was 32% last month, where the historical range is between 10 and 20. And it's obviously a function of what we've been talking about, is existing home sale inventory at 3 or 4 months supply, people with 2.75% mortgages are not interested in trading that for a 6.5% mortgage. So that's artificially suppressing the available supply of existing homes, which is how many?
All of them.
All of them.
There you go. Exactly. All of them.
That would be bullish information for the home builders.
Everything is for sale at some price. Well, and the fact is when you look at the overall market, the home builder index is up 16% year to date. And I mean, Ash and I were looking earlier at one. The big Pro Yard Builders First Source is up 10% today to a new all-time high, $105 a share. I mean, I was looking at it several months ago and going, wow, this has really been really resilient. It was in the 80s, and now it's 105.
Yeah. Yeah, and it shows as these companies get bigger and gain more market share, they've got more pricing power too, right? And their margins increase.
Well, actually, you would probably understand that because remember when Koch bought the GP plywood mills?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened, what they did?
I do not.
No, but Matt, yeah, they went out and said, yeah, no, we don't sell based on random links anymore. Here's our new price.
Yeah, they basically just canceled all their existing really cheap ass contracts, and they said, nah, this is what we're going to sell it for in the future. If you want to buy it from us, great.
Right.
If not, lose our number.
Yeah,
and guess what?
We're 80% of production, and our new price is like whatever, it was like $100 over with.
Yeah, it was way higher, and they successfully pulled that off. So, having some pricing power is obviously what it's all about with these big companies, and
cool.
And I think it's good for them. Their plan seems to be working.
What else we got going into the end of the week here, gents?
Ever gonna have pricing power, Matt? Come on, huh?
Sometimes we have pricing power. Like last year, when the price of finger joint studs went to $2,100 delivered, that was pricing power. But how many years have we been doing this collectively? Like 90, and we had 2 good years. Yeah, that's not very good odds, is it?
They've all been good years, but the last 2 were probably really good, right?
Back in the trenches. Okay, so Ash, what's our game plan for Twitter Spaces? What are we doing? Do we know?
We're gonna do a Twitter Space tomorrow at 4:00.
Okay.
If you want.
How do people tune into that, Ashley?
If they want to tune into it, I put it on LinkedIn on my LinkedIn. You can also go to at the @ 2x4 and then the word 7. You can see it next to my name there, and you can sign up to go into it. There's people signed up, and they'll be rolling in as we go. So
okay, and so then what happens that is so like then you record that and then it's
available. Yeah. I'm gonna record that one, and then everybody can watch it or listen to it as they feel they have time to do it. Do we know if Elon has checked it out yet? We do not. We do not know that. We'll see that. That just he just retweets people when he feels like it. So we'll see if that happens. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for by Elon. I mean, I did highlight. I mean, it's really in the weeds kind of stuff, but we did get a lot of good response, didn't we? Yeah, we did. There's some great response.
One thing that Elon tweeted out here in the last week was he said that between Tesla and SpaceX and Twitter and some of the other things that he's involved in, that there's not another human being in the history of planet Earth that has as much economic information in his head real time. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, you know what? He's right. And it's not even really a humble brag. It's just that guy has access to a massive amount of information as an individual. It's kind of fascinating to think about how much power that would give a guy. So Elon has been a big proponent of the Fed dropping rates. I don't know, you guys paid attention to this stuff over the last 90 days or so, but every time the Fed's have been rate hiking to try to slow inflation down. He's like, oh, we're going to go into a deep recession. And he keeps warning about this. So it'll be interesting to see if the Fed listens to him, because are the politicians afraid of a recession, or if the Fed just decides to go ahead and create a recession by keep raising rates. I mean, it'll affect us in our business, right? But this seems like to be a kind of an economic tug of war that I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. We must have lost Greg there, Matt.
All right, buddy. I'll see you.
We'll
We'll catch you tomorrow.
Sounds good.